Hello everyone, iExalt here and I am back with a new Mass Effect Andromeda video. This video is in fact a random gold solo with the human female Sentinel, whose build I, spec like this. Everything in Barricade, electrifying Barricade, and then energy drain because this is so useful, and also take armor in order to have some, damage resistance with some weapon training if you can, and 2 points in throw for recharge speed. The goal was simply to have a build that, could take any faction on any map with any objective, because the most difficult thing with Mass Effect Andromeda is not exactly the enemies, but rather the objectives. This is the big difference. The objectives can just ruin your run, or any run really, even team run. This is not really a video to farm anything, because if you want to farm, you just have to, go to platinum and play, with a team. This is more for players looking for, training in, how to build a character, how to survive, because, the overall dynamics of the Mass Effect multiplayer is Andromeda multiplayer is very different from Mass Effect 3. First of all, you have more enemies on the field, and then, as you can clearly see, you can jump, you can dash, and you can hide more rapidly than you could in Mass Effect 3, which, is the big difference. So if I go on the roof, I really like this map, so this was random. I did not expect Icebreaker, though I'm really happy I had it, because it's a very nice map, and I went on the roof. This is not exactly the place where I want to stay. For the first wave, this is okay, especially with the cats. If this had been the remnants, I would have gone into the building just below, in order to, avoid all the observers on wave 1. So with the cat, wave 1 is really simple. You just have to deal with chosen units and wraiths. I believe there are 3 wraiths. This is not, I'm not sure about this, but I simply use the barricade to, avoid close contact with the wraiths, so that I can focus fire on the chosen. I also use the Assure for the simple reason that if you spend too much time, shooting with the Hurricane, the magazine will deplete, very rapidly, and you don't want that. You don't want to move. You have to stay. And with the Assure, I have to say that I use the receiver. As you can see right now, it's very useful because you can shoot through walls. Well, not solid walls, but some walls. So the first wave is almost over, and as you can see, I don't have any barricade left. This does not really matter, because as the wave was over, the wraiths were not going to reappear, and as soon as the wave is over, I just jump off the roof and I go to find ammunition, get some ammunition. You don't really want to start the second wave here, where I am right now. It all depends on where the anointed unit will spawn. You have, I think, 2 destined here and 1 anointed, which, is not really complicated, is it? Even for gold. Well, if you forget the smoke, because the smoke is probably the most dangerous thing right now. It can, cloak the anointed. If you miss this, and you are surprised by the anointed, then you're dead. even before you do this. So what I do now is, go into my favorite building and just, use the barricades for the enemy to go through one way instead of two. Well, as you can see right now, one of them just went through. This does not really matter because the barricade will damage the units, any unit coming through, like the race or the chosen. And what I'm playing right now, I'm just thinking. This is not live commentary, by the way, but as I'm playing, I'm thinking, well, where is the anointed? The answer is right in front of you, but sometimes the anointed will not come to as close to you as the other units will. Sometimes it will just go at the bottom of the map, on the other side of the map, or it will use verticality in order to surprise you, but not necessarily go come close contact with you. So the second map wave is over, and now I'm going to the roof again, but you might also want to go to where the target is right now if you have something like upload or hack, because you want to control the spawns or before starting anything. Here, this is the target objective, which is not the hardest, obviously. As you know, you have 3 targets to take down. The first will always be distant, the second will always be an anointed unit, and the third one, is the most difficult one. This is why you want to take down the first 2 as quick as possible. And also you want to mind the fact that there is an ancient and an ascendant on the field. Sorry, the French for ascendant is ancient. And well, this is Behemoth, so the third target. It's not new if you already play Platinum, but for any other difficulty, the target objective on a random match will include this set of enemies: 1 destined, 1 anointed, 1 behemoth. And you want to save all the time you have for the behemoth, especially if you have a build like mine, because, well, she's the Human Sentinel is not necessarily the toughest weapon character I have right now, especially level 9. But it's still, well, it's doable. But I sort of panicked during the wave because I see that I had 20 seconds left. The ascendant was still here. If you kill it, it will not respawn, but you need to have time to kill it, and there I go. I just died miserably, second Cobra RPG, and this was, well, I was really desperate, but you do what you can. And this might happen as well. You probably saw what I saw. The energy drain simply failed because of the smoke. Well, energy drain basically is one of the best powers that you have. Anytime you're in danger, you use it in order to restore your shields. And if you use extended drain, usually you have a group of enemies coming towards you, not just one enemy. Not just one lone wolf coming to you. No, usually you have lots of enemies coming to you at the same time. And if you use extended drain for each enemy that is affected by energy drain, you will restore a portion of your shields. This is very useful. And there goes the ascendant. Finally. The Ashore is a very good pistol if you know where to shoot the head, obviously. You want damage, quick damage. The area where I am right now is the area that players like the most. when they, play teamwork. When there was gold, only gold, this was fine because, well, you can, easily hold down this position, like Kedros says at the beginning of, of the match. But in fact, this is not the best option here, especially for Platinum. And this is not Platinum, of course, but imagine on Platinum you have observers for each faction. This is the only remnants appearing in the Outlaw and the Cat factions. And you also have anointed units for each faction, remnants on wave 4, and Cat obviously, but Outlaws starting on wave 4, you have anointed also. And these units, well, they usually try to use verticality to catch you. And if you just stay, in an area that is, open to verticality, then you are dead, basically. Especially with the Outlaws, because you have Berserkers, you have Observers, and others coming at you. So this area is not the best option. The only time I use it during my runs is when I want to escape, and even there, as you can see, I'm going inside the buildings. Even though there is no observer here, I still, I don't want to be surprised by, anointed going on the roof and waiting for me there, because they can, clearly kill me if they want, very rapidly. So this wave, as you can see, the enemy was more numerous. There was a fiend, so I basically had to kite the enemy around the map. In order to do so, you need to know the map, not by heart, but you need to know the few areas where you can, stay for a little while, and the killing zone. Like this is one of my favorite killing zone. As long as you don't have very aggressive units running to you, ready to kill you like the anointed is. So this was the 4th wave. The big difference here is that you had a fiend, and wave 5 is exactly the same wave, except you have an ascendant. So at the end of the day, you have something like 3 destined, 2 or 3 anointed, I believe on wave 6, and I know that on wave 7 you have 2 ascendants. Well, this is supposed to be gold, and on Mass Effect 3, gold had 2 Banshees or 2 Praetorians. And the Ascendant is clearly the result of a mixture between the two. What happens if you take a Banshee and a Praetorian, then, well, you have an Ascendant. This is the same idea. So if I go on the roof, and it's precisely on this side of the map, is again to kite the enemy around. I use verticality because some enemies need time to, go up and down. This trigger some, animations for the enemies, and staggering or using, animations is really, really important when you play Mass Effect Andromeda multiplayer. This is the only respite that you can have. Laying down the barricade here simply forced the fiends going around. So again, saving time. This is probably the most important thing I want right now. is to kill the enemy little by little. This strategy is directly inherited from Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. This is exactly the same logic. The big difference is the fact that since there are more enemies in the field, it's not as easy as in Mass Effect 3 to control the spawns. And sometimes you can be surprised. But if you basically see just, a lot of smoke right in front of you and you don't know where to shoot because, well, Destin can be cloaked, you simply use the barricade, and this, the electrifying effect of the barricade will stagger the Destined. And then you just have to use any power you want. You can use energy drain if you want, but you can use the other one to throw. Throw is probably better, by the way, because of its radius, but well, energy drain has less chance to miss, and you basically detonate the combo thanks to the barricade. So basically the Destined will not worry you anymore. Again, this is sort of dangerous of going on the roof, especially here, because it's open. I'm open to, fire from everywhere. But this is clearly the end of the wave, and I know that, so I don't really worry. I've done the hardest part. So, mind you, the barricade is very useful to, protect yourself against the enemy, as I did right now, because you don't have to think about cover. Cover is always with you. But what might happen with barricade is that, well, it triggers an animation. I was talking about the animation of the enemies, then you have animations too. You can be staggered, for instance. This animation is really, people don't like it, but there is another animation. This is, for example, the barricade or Nova, for instance, but well, she doesn't have Nova, so we don't really care about it. But barricade triggers an animation, and you might get killed during the animation. So this, for wave 6, is probably, well, the best objective I could get. I did not expect this, really. And devices is very easy for the Human Sentinel if she uses the electrifying barricade. Look at this. The Wraiths could not do anything, and the Wraith and the Anointed, can stop you from unlocking the device. The Wraith can just charge you, and the Anointed can melee you. And here I used my last 2 missiles for the simple reason that, well, the Fiend, the electrifying effect of the barricade will damage the Fiend, but the Fiend can just explode the barricade. You just have to walk on it it just has to walk, on it, and then the barricade is gone. So what I want is to get rid of the Fiend as quick as possible, knowing that if I kill it, I have a second Fiend coming in. But unlike Platinum difficulty, if you kill the second Fiend, it will not respawn. On Platinum difficulty, this is a bit different. The only Fiend you get is with the Cat faction, obviously. It's on wave 4. And so it's an objective wave on Platinum. And, well, you can kill all the Fiends you want. The Fiend will always respawn. So, basically on Gold, it's fine. 2 Fiends, even if you have hack or upload, just focus on the big enemies, Ascendants, or Fiends. And if you take them down, eventually they will not respawn. So that's why, even if you have hack or upload. It's not impossible. I mean, she has Barricade. She can just, you know, force the enemy through the way she wants. And look at this, you deal damage even if you don't do anything. You just, you know, run through the map and your Barricade is doing the work. This is so overpowered. Well, the Barricade involves many points. You have to invest, many points in Barricade in order to have this this effect on Barricade. And the only thing you lose really is throw. But this does not really matter because throw here is more of a detonator. I said extended drain earlier. Extended drain is not really the option I selected. It's not an option that I recommend. It's when you spec up energy drain, have at some point, I believe it's on rank 5, I'm almost sure about it. You have auxiliary drain, and this is what I chose, and you have extended drain. Extended drain basically gives the ability to energy drain to prime enemies for combo detonation, but I use disruptor ammunition, so I don't really need to prime enemies, do I? Also, you saw energy drain is very useful against Ascendants. The SRA Sentinel has the Aegis, you know, the shield to protect herself against the Ascendants, and the Human Sentinel has in fact 2 ways of dealing with Ascendants, especially when you have to. If they start shooting their bolts at you, and well, I know this is sort of confusing, you simply use energy drain. I did that a moment ago at the end of wave 6 when I was talking about auxiliary drain and extended drain. You use energy drain at a very specific moment when the balls go through you, you know, and this little animation will basically annihilate the damage done by the Ascendants. So this was gold run, random gold run. Basically, very simple way of, you know, dealing with gold. Any faction, any map you want, and really even for axe or uploads, these objectives should not scare you as long as you have the Human Sentinel. It's one of the best character. Craft control, staggering enemies, dealing you know, area damage, and well, the only thing that is missing here is DPS. But you know, you deal damage from so many sources, so you don't really care. Yeah, well, this death was completely useless, but I didn't really care, you know. I had enough revives, so I was not really scared. But what happened here is that the fiend was waiting for me, which does not really happen often. Usually, does not happen at all. Usually, you know, the fiend is always running after you. And well, here it was just waiting, and I had used all my missiles, so I could not, you know, nuke it. Well, obviously, Barricade here is again very useful, because instead of, you know, melee me, the fiends just, you know, start spitting at me. So basically, I hope that this run, you know, interested you, and see you soon. I exalt out.